everyone, and welcome back. Today we are going to be playing some Naya nonsense. The main feature of this deck is Annie Joins Up. This card is going to allow our legendaries to double. It kind of has that Elish Norn effect, the doubling season effect. If any legendary triggers, it'll happen again, because it does not only just care about enter the battlefield, it's just any type of trigger. So for example, Roxanne works out incredibly well with this. Being a enter the battlefield, it will make a meteorite that deals 2 damage to any target, and then that is a mana rock. However, with Roxanne, if we're playing it with an Annie Joins Up on the battlefield, it'll actually make 2, and then now it's dealing 4 damage, which is significantly higher. It's like kind of hard to even rationalize. Instead of 4 damage over 2 turns, it's 8, and then very quickly it becomes more and more. And then we get to play other things that flicker, like the Loyal Steed, where we can saddle it up and have Roxanne, as it'll probably see in the beginning. But other than that, I changed the deck throughout the video. I changed it a couple of times, bring things in, cut things. So a card you might see in the early game might not be in here in the end. I just thought maybe it was worse, or like worse than another card, or I didn't need as many. For example, this card replaces the raccoon, and then one of these get dropped out for a second copy of Beza when I was only running 2 of this. So, and then a couple other things happen to get Irencrag in, so we can hopefully kind of tune into our top end a little bit cleaner, a little bit earlier if need be, on those awkward turns where we have like lands that have been tapped or whatever. So other than that, we're going to go ahead and hop in the games. I hope you all enjoyed them, and if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing, and let's go see how well this Naya nonsense deck can do in Mythic. Oh boy. Let me pull up Spotify. I need to bop to something, dude. Wow. Listening to these beats in my other headphones is not the same listening experience, I can tell you that much. Okay, opponent goes first. Our hand's a little bit whack. I don't mind it, I guess. Just hope it's not mono red. If it is mono red, we're probably just shocked. Or bunnies? It is bunnies. Okay. We just need to find a short-term answer, or hope Brotherhood is just strong enough to get there. They don't normally get things that get like a ton of counters. Like this will get counters, but my Brotherhood still covers it, and I just keep drawing lands. Yeah, so when attacks put a 1 counter on each other creature you control that's token or a rabbit, then if no creature you control, yeah. So like, sure, these will get bigger, but they won't get so large, and my brother's end doesn't cover it, and this is actually incredibly good for us. We're gonna get hit for a chunk here, and then we're going to play this land, do this, and deal 3 damage. So all that's cleaned up, and now we can progress the game the way we need to. If that was mono red, we probably would have lost. As you can kind of tell, we didn't find anything else, so like we definitely had opportunities to lose there for sure. There's a war leader. Pretty good. This gives me extra lands and also can combat the war leader. He's doesn't draw, does gain life. And he joins up, I guess just nukes that thing, so I should just play it, right? Like, I don't know why make it more complicated. I always forget that this isn't just a doubler. It's a doubler plus it deals 5 damage on ETB. We just nuke this 4/4 and we call it a day. And then now, if triggered ability of a legendary creature we control triggers, it happens an additional time. So now that I have less life than them, when I play my Beza, I'm gonna get multiple triggers. But also here, I could opt to play Roxanne, and then I'll have 2 Roxanne and shoot 2 things down. And then Roxanne's like a pretty good blocker here with that 3 toughness. It's able to actually block everything out here. And then it can attack next turn and blow up everything else as well. So it's between Roxanne and Beza. And I think it's Roxanne to get the mana, because then the mana rocks will also stack here, and then we'll get to do a couple of things. I could take out the Lord, but I think just taking out multiple creatures is better, because they do play Knight Errant of Eos. So we want them to, if they're going to convoke it in, we want them to only be able to see 2 drops and less, not get to necessarily look at 3 drops. Here's another Lord. That's pretty dangerous. Now Roxanne doesn't trade, they leave on top. Well, Roxanne trades, but it doesn't do what we want. 6 here. I think I keep because attacking with Roxanne gives me another one, right? Yeah, so they wanted me to block. They were begging for me to block there. We don't block, we go to 7, and we know we have the backup plan of Beza because this doubling up with Beza is going to gain us 8 life, and we would do this first. And if I believe I know how the triggers stack, it doesn't make the creatures and then check again. They would both the triggers would go in a stack being like, wow, they have more creatures than us, and then I would end up making more because if Beza enter made the creatures and then it would check again, I would have more. But I think they both trigger at the same time, so therefore like I'd make 4 creatures still, and then I would have a massive board and there's nothing I could do about it. Opponent goes first. Pretty okay with this hand. We'll keep. Nothing on turn 1, so we just parlor. Here's mono red. Here they are. Yeah, so we parlor. Maybe we'll find another removal spell. And second Lightning Helix is pretty good. 6 life swing plus removing creatures is always pretty a pretty good plan. And then I can have Elesh Norn come in and be a massive, kind of like in theory, use this as like a gain 7. As this toughness will add on to our life total because of trample. But we have a long time before we get there. The Steed can also come in. But most likely what we're going to do is we're going to play the Vantage. We're going to Helix or get lost their creatures. And then we're going to do that again. But our opponent is now back. There's the Challenger. Sure. Get bonked for a bit. With Challenger being kind of that annoying creature, we're going to go ahead and Lightning Helix it now. They can get value by targeting it. So if they use like an equipment to have it come in and target this, then they potentially get like a card draw for free, so it's not necessarily where we want to be. Giving it haste plus the counter, sure. We're tapped out once again. 2/2. Now I could play as Karplusan Gorge, but is surveilling more important here? Just so I can find like good spells. I think that matters because I also have another untap land, but I guess I have no green. Is doing that on turn 3 just as good? I guess so. I can play the Steed. But now I could get lost this, or I can just go ahead and Helix it again. I like Helixing this. I kind of want to save the get lost for like a flyer if I can get a turn to hold it. But this one doing damage as it dies is definitely a troublesome thing that we have to deal with. This is one of the weird matchups where mono red actually end up keeping a lot of threats, which is weird. Mono red normally operates on like 2 to 3, but our opponent having a lot here. They only actually have 1 red mana that can obviously tap for a color, so lightning strike me. Down to 10 we go. Pretty comfortably. We are sitting at 10, 2 cards in hand, 2 red mana available. If that's what it comes to, that can go away. Then just hold this get lost, I think. They put another Mighty Meek on the stack. I definitely suplexed this Swift Sphere. Give him the RKO out of nowhere. The old-fashioned Randy Keith Orton. We didn't know what RKO stood for. A little weird lore I know about the WWE. Don't know why I know it, but I know it. I mean, yeah, we're gonna pop this thing. They got spells. They got stuff. You could tell. There was a priority hold. Now, this is the weird spot where like Elesh Norn's so good, but because we're scared, because we're afraid of their flyer, I'm gonna play the Dragonhawk because it's a 5/5 flying thing. Now Slick Shot has to get through this massive thing. Then I don't remember exactly how this reads. At the beginning of your next end step, it deals 2 damage to each opponent for each of those cards that are still exiled. Yeah. Yeah, so we'll do 1. They'll take 2 because I'm obviously not able to play this. Dragonhawk is the win condition when it comes to like grinding out games. Roxanne, you could argue may have been a better play, but I still like setting in a flyer, and just like that we win, which is the opposite of what I think would have happened in game 1 if we ran in the mono red. That's kind of the weird thing about the ladder sometimes. It's like sometimes you'll run into those matchups in reverse and then it all crumbles and goes downhill, but we end up taking it away. This hand's a bit hefty, huh? We have 2 helixes. We have Elesh Norn. We have Dragonhawk. We have 3 mana. We hit a land. 3 mana is kind of hard to turn away, even though we are in a little bit of a vulnerable spot here. Those sleeves are sick. Is that Dragonhawk and the owl? I mean, that. Go that you, bro? Go that you? White rabbits again. Okay. We just play Vantage. Hopefully I can hit that the 3rd land to make this our 4th land. And we can just helix some things down that matter. Maybe they'll play a Lord here. Interesting to be seeing rabbits so much. We get hit. Call it a day. Sure, we do hit that 4th land, which is very nice. We'll play it. We won't reveal the green. We'll make them just think we're Boros for now. Which is annoying enough. Sure. Hop to it, most likely. Ah, man, we punted. That's a mistake. I probably should have just removed that. So Knight Errant wasn't possible here, but they can only find 2 drops, so hopefully you were fine. Neither of you are an artifact, right? Or enchantment? Yeah, we're in a little bit of trouble here. Most likely I'm gonna see a Paul patch thing hit with the offspring. Oh, we're so in danger. Sure. Path to Helix, the only thing I can Helix here. The reason why is because they can make a token and then that would grow into more damage. I guess it's only plus 2-0, but now they'll just pump maybe. No, opt for that, sure. Oh boy, the mana in this just seems like a loss here. No targets. I have a sad 2-1. Yeah, we kind of needed an Annie's join up there to shoot the war leader and then find the land to play the Roxanne to double down on shooting everything else. But yeah, I think we're just gonna get overran here, which is fine. Happens. Bunnies is arguably one of the better aggro decks in the meta. I mean, we have a draw, I guess, right? Do I need to save this to draw? 8, 10. Yeah, I might as well save it to draw a card and just see what we find. I just don't think it's, no matter what we do, it's going to be enough. I mean, I guess I get this dead if I find a Brotherhood end. That doesn't. We'll technically thin here first. You are my target opponent. That's a Helix. And I'll throw this on the stack, shoot a thing, and then we'll concede here. Good game. Didn't come together this time. I think we saw what we did to it in the first game, that one of those might have been a fluke, whether it was me winning or my opponent winning this one. I think. Feel like we're good against that match, but maybe I'm wrong. We go first. Why is there an Etali in the sand? Like, sure. I mean, we have all the colors in the world we want. We have a payoff spell if we ever get there. But the torches and the get lost can hopefully provide us time. We'll play this tap lane first. Call it a day. Then both torch to the towers will be available next turn. Looks like red. With that draw, we just want lanes at this point. That's all we want. We just want to draw mana. Play plains. Keep going. 2 mountains and nothing for my opponent. Okay. There's a green. Well, sad news for that thing that my Torch to Tower exiles. That card that they just played is arguably one of the few cards I don't think I would ever put in a deck right now. This one. With as much mono red that deals damage, like, because the thing gets exiled. It seems so crazy to put that card in the deck because every spell is kind of exiling. Not saying what my opponent did is wrong by any stretch. It's just like my personal opinion on this card. I just don't think I could justify putting it in the deck, is all. Alright. Watch me say that play an Etali, and then it worked out well for me. Interesting. Very interesting deck that I'm up against right now, but we slam an Etali. I hit into Roxanne anyway. Dashing down there, another artifact control enters up to one target creature. So we put this on the stack first, so it enters in resolve second. Play Roxanne, and then I guess it wouldn't have mattered. I could have given both haste. Actually, I screwed that up. I could. So whenever it or another artifact control enters, up to one target creature gets a 1/0 until end of turn. So what I could have done is had this enter first, giving Etali haste, but then this artifact would have entered, and then I could have gave Roxanne haste, which would have also attacked, and then made another Power Stone. Wild. Really, really funny. Do I have a way to make an artifact enter? Can I do both? 1, 2, 3. No, I cannot. So Dragonhawk it is. Oh wait, this makes 2 mana. Off of Roxanne, I could have. Yeah, I forgot they make 2 mana. I keep this one. Dousing Dagger this. Winning with my opponent's cards is a sick way to do it. We'll attack here, and then Roxanne will trigger again. And Dragonhawk will also trigger again. What an insane way to win this game, by the way. What? I hit a random artifact out of my opponent's deck, and it just absolutely went insane. What? Well, I draw a green land. Our hand's really good. So I think I gotta keep this regardless. It's like either find Greenland, which we have a lot of, or like mostly anything else, you know. I need a Greenland regardless to get my Roxanne in play, and turn 1, turn 2 into maybe a Roxanne or something just seems really good. A village with no creature. Interesting. Sure. That's getting exiled. And then we'll play Irencrag here and look to get the Steed in. Because the rest of our hand is uncastable. But again, if we do find it green, we're looking pretty good. Once I get the Scry too, but we'll see. They do play another creature. This will act as like 4 toughness unless we find a green right now. We do. Wow, what a draw that was. One part of me wants to get this down, but I think because I have an extra land drop and Roxanne is just like automatically coming in next turn, I go ahead and I suplex that challenger, and then I play Roxanne, and then I double shoot anything that they play. We're tapped out, but most likely they'll commit a creature. At least I feel like they will. Mice, meese, moose. Did that the other day too. Roxanne will double target that thing just in case they have a pump spell. I'm not going to mess around too much about it. Roxanne. There's a thing about playing against like mono red in comparison to some of these other matches I've played. Is like a decline. Roxanne. Target. Oh, okay. I didn't do anything in response, so now I know I can target the other one. Sure. Too much value, and mono red runs away. Very cool. Very cool. Oh, we go first. We have a Brotherhood end. We have. I mean, I think we keep. I'll play this tap first, and then I'll play the Surveil land once we get a little more information about what we're playing potentially. Every time I say that, my opponent immediately puts like a Fabled Passage down, and I go, okay, I'll talk to him next year. Interesting. I think I still Surveil here. What do I do? Do I keep this? I'm gonna let it go. Knowing Arena, surveilling that in the yard, we'll find more. Opponent, I think that's wrong. See, mana, just like that. We'll put a little Steed out there. You'll have a good time. Scry 2. I will actually take both those cards in a row. because I can put this in play next turn, play Roxanne after that because of this, and then I will actually be able to slam the Etali. And against Orzhov Snake is what I have to imagine this match is. And plus, when I play Roxanne, I can saddle up my Steed and then have Roxanne re-enter the battlefield. So then I'll have 4 total tokens. Honestly, at this point, I should just play 5 color. Where's my mana confluences? Hopeless Nightmare. Inspiring Vantage is gone. Ooh. There's a Pixie. Okay, that makes sense. Not opting to go for the Hopeless Nightmare backup. They want to make another clue to draw, potentially. So, what do I end up suplexing here? Probably the Pixie, right? I could just Brothers it in, too, but I want to get this anti-joins up in. Suplex the bigger creature, because that would be the one that they want to keep. And I guess it's just attack. They're not really reading the whole back. Am I getting snaked? I think I'm getting snaked. Yeah. Ooh. So we can kill the snake in a really interesting way. Yeah, so saddle one. Whenever it attacks while saddled at the end of combat, exile it and up to all target creatures saddled at this turn, and then return those cards to the battlefield under its owner's control. So what we're gonna, we have a really sick play. Honestly, you can have this, man. I don't know. So here's my Etali. Here's my land. Here's my Roxanne, and they're not gonna block my Steed anyway, unless they want to lose their Viper. And maybe they won't know what's about to happen. Maybe they won't think about it. We attack. We block. They should. Okay. They saw the line. Sure. Yes. I would much like to do this. Upstairs. Upstairs. Now, it's either play my Etali or get it discarded. We're hoping that I can play my Etali. Darn it. Although I do think my opponent's dead regardless. Untap this. Go to combat. We'll pump that thing. Upstairs. Upstairs. And then we'll hit them. We'll almost kill our opponent. We'll put them at 1. And now Helix is lethal. Another Roxanne's lethal. This is assuming that our Roxanne gets answered, by the way. Sure. And that play with the Steed was actually so sick. Sure. I'll lose 4 life. Pass. My turn. And then I'll just go to combat. I'll let him out. Upstairs. I wanted to play the Dragonhawk Tempest because it would have been sick, but we don't have to do that. We can end the game. All right, chat. Here we are. This is what I settled on. This is where I ended up at. A mixture of a couple of different decks that I've seen and kind of rolled around with, kind of back and forth what I was trying to play. There was a couple of times where I thought this card was not very good. The last game kind of convinced me otherwise because of how well it curved out with the Roxanne. But that, I think that curve is kind of a special situation. And then I only had 3 anti-joins up in it first, but now I'm on 4. I think this being 5 damage is way too important, and we kind of always need this because our deck, of course, can go over top of our opponents, but it cannot go over the top without the antis join up, right? So it's a little interesting on the fact that it's like, normally we're fine, at least you would think so, but without it, it's whatever. The other thing is, I've noticed that our mono red matchup is so good because we're kind of so stacked that I was actually able to trim a torch and kind of put things in over it, because if it's not torch, we have a lot of other answers. In theory, if you were playing black, this would be like 3 cut downs and this would be 4 go for the throats. and we still also have 2 get lost on top of that, along with 3 or 4 Brotherhood in. This is basically to help us clear a lot of the big boards. I've ran into a lot of creature decks. Mythic's a little bit weird because I've explained the ladder in a very specific way, where I talk about the ladder being the early ladder is like going to a casual F&M. About the diamond tier and ladder, like top platinum, top end of diamond especially, is like you're going to the try hard F&M. And in Mythic, it's like a lot of times it's like the try hard F&M, but people are playing whatever deck that they want. Like a lot of times people will still play S tier decks if that's the deck they find fun, but most people are playing the deck they enjoy the most, actually, instead of like the one that they want to mindlessly climb ladder. So you run into a lot of different things. So in Mythic, you kind of have to just willingly be like, you just kind of have to have auto losses and hope you can win them, or like really high loss percentages. So like for example, a matchup that's very hard for us that we would fix immediately if we were playing best of 3. It wouldn't be a problem if we were in best of 3, but in best of 1 we're pretty vulnerable to like the reenact the crime decks or the reanimate decks, because there's nothing we can really do to interact with them. We don't have a lot of legendaries for that. But if we immediately had a sideboard, we're bringing in like 3 rest in peace, and we're just going to say, okay, what if I do the unfun stuff or like the combo stuff and you have to watch me do it now, you know? So it's a little bit weird when it comes to playing a deck like this, where I would not say this is S tier by any imagination, but it would be like B plus, can feel like A plus, or sometimes like the last game, our opponent put a rod mouth in and we just like shot it to death with a Roxanne on 4 triggers in total if they didn't block the Steed. So like sometimes like this deck can't lose, but then we die to rabbits, you know? So it's like with all this removal, we lose to bunnies sometimes. And you're like, oh, didn't hit a land, didn't get to play the Roxanne. I don't know what you want from me. But other than that, I hope you all enjoyed the video anyway. For my first video, like actually playing a Mythic this season, I decided to go completely troll, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. I like this deck a lot. I think this deck is more for if you're a whale on the format or on the client, play it. It's just a good time, especially when a new season starts and you're like really low, and you maybe don't play much at the start of the season. It's definitely a fun deck to play early, because you don't really care about the ranked all too much. You don't lose much when you lose. But I mean, 2 to 4 mythics here, 3 to 4 mythics here, rare, mythic, rare, rares. This is an uncommon technically, but I have this art, so it's rares. Wow, the only uncommon or common in the deck is Torch of the Tower. Don't craft it, bro. Like, just don't waste your craft. With that said, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.